Hello, hello. Um, I want to talk about something that's really serious, and it's the Mexican cartel and the drugs that are flowing into our country with this fentanyl, cocaine, powder cocaine, heroin, you name it, and even marijuana. Um, these cartels have been a thorn in our side, a thorn to our country for a very, very long time. And that's where most of the drugs that come into America is coming through Mexico, and it's coming through the drug cartels. Which the question I'm posing is that the President Trump signed an executive order uh, uh, giving the powers to our special forces and special CIA and different factions of our military to go into Mexico and to trying to defeat these here drug cartels. And that's the question that I want to pose to you is, do you think that we could be successful in defeating the Mexican cartels? Just not even a couple of months ago, the Mexican cartel and the military army in Mexico were fighting, and the cartels, from what I hear, they fought to a draw. The cartels lost men, so did the military. They not only that, they control large swaths of Mexico as far as territory is concerned. So we got a formidable situation here that will require our military to have a well thought out, well executed plan that has little room for error when you're dealing with lethal cartels that from what I from the numbers that I've gotten from an article talking about the cartels, it is estimated that right now, as we speak, there is over 175,000 uh, gang or cartel members, and they have the ability to call up at least 300,000 more if needed. So I made a few notes because I want to make sure that I'm giving you factual information when it comes to these drug cartels and what we would be facing as a country, as the United States. If you got to keep in mind that we're dealing with peoples that don't care about killing. As a matter of fact, we, the Americans, AR-47s, AR-20s, they come directly from America. So we're selling them these AR guns that we certainly would need if we're going to be even on a even footing. CIA, special forces, things of that nature. We'd have to have the same firepower uh, that we sell and that they get on a basis coming up out of America. We're in a serious. We're going to have to do something because this drug situation is killing a lot of our loved ones, a lot of our neighbors, a lot of our people that we. Everyone knows somebody in this country that has died of fentanyl, drug overdose, some type of overdose due to illegal drugs that flow across our borders more than we have any control over. And so we as a country need to, are we going to go in there now that President Trump has signed this executive order saying that the cartels will be treated as terrorists, meaning that we would, if we could get the permission, because Mexico is a sovereign country, the permission for our special forces, special ops, certain CIA certainly would be involved to go in and to destroy, to root out this cartel once and for all. Could we, the United States, could we defeat the Mexican cartels? That's the question that I'm laying on you and presenting to you today. Could we do that? I would say we could if our military generals and the people who make the decisions say, we're going to give you everything that you need to be successful in going in there and fighting a formidable cartel, a group of peoples who would shoot you quicker than they could see you. So there's a lot that we got to consider when we talk about going in there and fighting these drug cartels to root out that pipeline, to kill the leaders that are guarded, man, fortresses that would take, it would take an army to get in there and to get to them. You know, I think about the guns that they use, the AR-47s, the AR-20s, which these are high powered. I mean, you pull the trigger and within a minute you've expended 100 bullets. So we'd have to definitely fight them on an even keel. Don't tie our guys' hands. Let them go in and fight and defend and root out this here cartel once and for all. I was looking over my notes here because I made a few notes just to make sure that I stay on point when I'm presenting and asking you, how would we as Americans deal with seeing our military forces, our special forces, special ops, Green Beret, CIA, because it would take all of that and more to go in there and effectively destroy the cartels. Like I said, we would need the CIA, the military SEAL, special forces. We would need in order to go in and have a decisive plan that we execute and come out victorious. I believe it can be done. That's my personal opinion. But we would have to really be serious about not tying any of our military's hands. They go in there with overwhelming force, because that's what it would take. When you're dealing with cartels that regularly have shootouts with the Mexican military, then you know they would have no problem shooting Americans. And that's another thing too. Would the cartels send their men over across the border and shoot up areas in the United States to send a message to our government that this is what you can expect if you bring your military or your military apparatus over to this country? Will we be able to deal with that? I know we would definitely have to respond at that point because that's almost like a declaration of war. I think the American peoples would, a lot of the American people would look at that as a declaration of war. So we got to look at that. There will be, as I said, many casualties. To think that there wouldn't be, we would be deceiving ourselves. We're talking about violent thugs who would no sooner kill you than look at you. And certainly they have the weaponry. A lot of it, as I said, comes right from the good old United States. As I was saying to you, as a matter of fact, a couple of months ago, they had a shootout with the military in Mexico, and there was no clear winners. There was men lost as far as the cartel, and there was men lost as far as the Mexican army. That's a sad thing when the drug cartels have just as much firepower as the military. So this won't be a cakewalk if our president decide to go in there. This won't be a cakewalk. If you think it's going to be a cakewalk, no. There will be some of our guys coming back in bags, unfortunately. But I believe that if we go in with overwhelming power, we could defeat the cartels. We could do it. I believe that. But we'd have to be really serious about going in there with overwhelming force. I was reading an article concerning how many men that the cartels have. And it's estimated that it's 175,000 currently that's a part of the drug cartels. And there's different factions of the drug cartels throughout Mexico. And different factions of those drug cartels rule certain areas in the Mexican country. And they're ruthless. And we need to know that. They have the ability, according to this here article that I read, they have the ability to call up another 360,000 men if needed. So you're basically you're talking about a formidable opponent that is lethal and will shoot you and will kill you if you mess up. If you are not on your P's and Q's as our special ops, as our military would have to be. I wrote a note here and I wanted to talk about how would it look like if we went in there? Would we be in there for a length of time, or would we go in? I think they would probably start out with some type of infiltration of the cartels, send in some special ops and special people that could go in there and sniff out what we would be up against, who are the main ring leaders, how we can get to them, because certainly you want to cut the head off of the leaders, and that makes it much easier to be able to defeat these cartels. We certainly would need the approval of Mexico, because Mexico is a sovereign country, and so we would need to get their permission to go in and even do this, and then not only have their permission, but have them work closely with us to defeat their enemy, that is within, but certainly our enemy, because they are selling drugs and killing up our loved ones here in the United States, and I want to see an end to that, and I know that a lot of you out there would want to see an end to that. But the question yet remains is, would the American peoples be okay with the casualties? Because there are going to be some. To think that there wouldn't be, we would be fooling ourselves. I was sitting here looking at some of these notes that I made, and I was saying to myself, would the American peoples be supportive of our special forces, our armed military going in to Mexico? How long would this operation take? And would we support this? Is what I would like to know. I know that, as I said, the president has signed a order, executive order, designating them as a terrorist group with the ability to send in our special forces, CIA, etc., 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 to see what we could do to maybe to put an end to these drug cartels. We would have to have a good strategy, as I said, which would require us to go in, collect information. Of course, we'd have to grease some palms, because you got some dirty players on both sides of the aisle, the government as well as the cartels. Those cartels have not been successful this long in that country without a lot of the government officials being bought off, and some of them being double agents working with the government and the cartel. So they're making money on both ends. That's another thing that we have to consider. Could we even trust a lot of the government officials that we would have to work with to even go in there? So that, you know, it's a lot of rough patches that we could run into if we don't have our I's and T's dotted, and that we don't have a decisive plan that can lead to victory. I asked the question: is the American peoples prepared to see our military peoples come back in body bags? Is that something that we could deal with? Because, as I said, there's going to be casualties. We're talking about evil peoples who have guns that can, if you pull the trigger, within a minute, 100 bullets is out. So I definitely say, as long as we, and I say to the American peoples, as long as our peoples are given the proper guidance, the proper guns that hopefully are even better than what the cartel possess, so that we can defeat the evil army. How many military special ops would we need? How many of the CIA would we need? How many of the Green Beret would we need? Would we go in just with our scope out, or would we go in with full force? So these are questions that, if we did do this, our government would definitely have to take a look. And I'm just bringing these questions up because this is what our government and our leaders and our military would have to plan out, and there's no room for error, because we're talking about lives. We're talking about lives, many lives that could be snuffed out by thugs and hooligans who would no sooner kill our military guys and wear that as a badge of honor. I certainly think that the President Trump will, at some point, have to be faced with whether we will go in to Mexico, since he has this here executive order, and he has expressed that these drugs have got to stop coming across our borders. And the only way to do that is for a section of our military to go in there and to try to do what the Mexican government's military can't do. And so that's why I say, when you go in with overwhelming force. You go in with the desire to snuff them out, and don't leave any stone unturned. That's what it would require in order to defeat the cartels. The Mexican government, how many of those who work for that government, like I said, would be double agents, would claim to be working with us, but yet giving information to the cartels, which could be deadly for our agents that will go in there undercover. You know, we got to think about all of that. It will require a lot of planning, a lot of manpower to get in there and see if we couldn't. You know, as I say, you always go in and try to cut the head off, which is the leaders, and there's different factions of these cartels. There's different factions, but a lot of manpower, and the ability to call up over 300,000. Think about that, 300,000 more people. There are currently, there's 175,000 today? So these are some questions that would definitely need answers before we could even move on something like that. But I think as President Trump gets into his term, this is going to start coming up. And so as Americans, we need to think about our soldiers, our special forces and Green Beret and so forth going into that country. How would we deal with that? Would we want to see, because there's going to be some, unfortunately, there will be casualties when you're dealing with ruthless gangsters that have no qualms with shooting an American, with shooting a soldier, a CIA operative or whatever. The people over there, they don't give two iotas about the military here. So as I leave, I say to you, and I ask the question: are we prepared to do the hard job if we were to send our military into Mexico to try and root out nemesis that have been there for a long, long time? That the military there in that country have had hard problems, they fought to draws, So hopefully, I think as long as we go in with precise plans, I think we could come out on top. So as this thing comes to a head, what do you think? Should we proceed and try to take out the cartels there in Mexico? That's a question that I think eventually we're gonna have to answer. And then after we answer it, if we're gonna go in, are we gonna go in determined to win? So, my heart, my prayers is always with our military. I respect the men and women that protect us, keep us safe. They're all over the world and in many different, from the sea to land, from mountaintops to wherever. God speed with you and God bless you and keep you. And, I respect you to the utmost. I think most Americans respect our military. So I'm going to leave you with those thoughts. What do we go in and try to root out this here cartel? Do we let them persist? Do we just let them continue to flood our country with all of these here drugs, this fentanyl, which is reaping havoc in our communities? Or do we just let it be? I say we go in. And I say we go in with overwhelming force. Overwhelming force. Until the next time, keep it real. Let us pray for our military. Let us pray for our country. We're in some trying times. And so as Americans, if we stick together, support our country, support our military, there's nothing that can defeat us. Absolutely nothing. We're the greatest country in the face of the earth. Until the next time, follow, like, and we'll be back with more hard-hitting conversations in the future.